You're driving me crazy. Wait. Hi, everyone. This is Soundbytez. I'm Xtine Elise with the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, Soul Man Stan, a.k.a.
Thank you.
Aaron Staniulis in the building. All right.
All right.
So, I have a couple topics that I need to go over. So, Aaron, can you tell us a little bit about, obviously, I know your background, but your experience in music and music production in particular, so find people out there know who they're dealing with.
Music has been a part of what I do pretty much all my life. Parents started me like 3 doing piano and voice lessons. Particularly production, I started doing live sound stuff when I was 16. That led me into sort of setting up a home recording setup when I was in high school, started recording my stuff, and this was kind of like, not to be a total hipster about it, but kind of before people were doing home recording stuff, because it was sort of like the very infancy of being able to kind of have like a computer-based setup at home that was like anyway decent. Did that, went to school for jazz studies, added on audio production while I was there, so ended up working in studios and got to work with a whole bunch of really cool artists and work with a bunch of really cool engineers and producers all through school. Continued doing that all the way through till now.
Cool. So now, as far as the work that you do producing and engineering, what kind of artists do you deal with? What's kind of like the week-to-week workload and how you contribute to things?
It really varies, and now it's especially where, you used to have your producer in the classic sense where your producer is sort of the project manager of thing. Your producer and the person who did the writing and the person who did the engineering and the mixing were all different people, and now it's so much more all the same person.
Okay.
So that my week is, there's kind of no normal, but it's a lot of, genre wise, it's a lot of hip hop, a lot of R&B, a lot of pop. Primarily, my own personal stuff tends to lean a little more soul R&B kind of. And yeah, so I mean, as far as that, I mean, it can go anywhere from just recording and mixing to doing, co-writing to track production to kind of, you name it, anything under the sun week to week.
Sounds good. So we work together a lot, for anybody who doesn't know, from a studio setting, specifically at Stanford Recording Studio in Connecticut. But besides that, we also work with a lot of people through Elise Music Group, which is essentially a boutique record label out of the same space. Where we also do everything from career advising and management kind of roles with artists to everything from more of the promotional tools and marketing aspects. So we deal with a lot of different people, and there's been a topic that comes up over and over and over that you are the person to bounce us off of and have a discussion about. So why do artists, particularly in the hip hop market, continue to pay to play?
I wish I had, it's astounding. I think some of it is people just don't know better. They just assume that it depends. Cause I feel like also today's artists in general, it's a lot more, there's a lot more studio experience. There's a lot more, kind of behind the scenes at a distance, not live experience that's being done where, kind of if you have people who like a lot of rock bands and stuff, like they kind of cut their teeth live and then go to the studio, where I find like a lot of the hip hop crowd, and particularly a lot of it is done in the studio first, and then it's about bringing that studio performance out to the public. So they don't have a lot of experience dealing with venues, promoters, and understanding some of the dynamics that are at play there a little bit. And then so it just sort of, when all your opportunities get presented to you as the, you get a, you got to pay $200, but then it's like, we're going to give you 20 tickets that you can sell to make back your $200. One of those situations. And that's almost the best case, because sometimes it's these showcase performances and stuff.
Yeah, they run rampant, especially the New York, Connecticut area.
Yes.
They are everywhere.
These artist showcases where they'll tag, big names or whatever that,
or the labels that are going to be there. Right. Because that's how labels find artists.
Exactly.
Literally not as someone
Spoiler alert, it's not.
Yeah,
It's
worked
really not.
for Columbia Records, spent a lot of time at A&R. I can promise you that is literally not how any of this works. And anytime you see that listed, at least present day, this is not speaking to like perhaps the 90s. And I think there was a time that this is what everyone's piggybacking off of this idea. There was a time that A&Rs would go out to shows and things like that. We are not in that time as much, and I would say specifically in the hip hop genre, that's really not how artists are being found, generally speaking. So someone from Republic Records is not coming to a hole in the wall in the middle of Connecticut. I can assure you that is not a thing that's occurring. What probably is happening is there is a friend of a friend of a friend of someone who knows or maybe had once sat in the room with this person and is taking claim to that. But I mean, this is the type of thing that should be squashed by the people that really do this, but no one even knows.
No.
And it's not even worth like chasing these people, usually with no money or anything, to try to shut down a fake situation that really has no bearing on their success day to day.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's ridiculous, but it does take such advantage of these new budding artists that are spending so much time and money, and they have just no idea what they're doing. And I deal with them all the time. And no matter how many times I even explain to them when they have access to the education or the team, I mean, I'm literally telling you the answers to the questions, and they still want to do it. And I don't understand.
They want to believe.
Why?
They want to believe.
Is it that?
It's the XFiles. It's the poster. I want to believe.
Oh my God. Like, I just don't get it. And it's stupid. It's so dumb. And like, you all need to stop doing that.
Stop paying into it. It's not calling it a pyramid scheme isn't even really. It's giving it too much credit.
Close to that. And here's the weird thing. I don't even knock the hustle for the people that are running it. And it's not that they all have bad intentions. I really don't think. I think a lot of them don't have good intentions. But there are some people that usually are not really educated. It's more of a school of hard knocks type of thing. Right. You know, but haven't like gone to school for anything music business related, but understand how to make money and the art of making money, and are fans of music and maybe have been a rapper in their own life or something like that. Right. But it doesn't really justify, but I don't think that they know that they're part of the problem and not the solution. For them, they're probably still going through the motions and finding the venue and securing everything and figuring out what the costs are going to be, and in their own kind of business plan way, or breaking it down and figuring out how do we all win in this? Do we all pay into it? They have to make a little money. That this is not a charity that they're running either. But at the same time, you were literally promising like delusional things to very green artists that don't know better, and you're for the most part taking advantage of them being naive, right, and bleeding them dry financially usually. In the process. And all for the chance to perform. So why is that such a thing for these artists that literally just make music in basements a lot of the time? What is the drive to do this in front of the audience with no experience and paying big money for it? I think part of it is also, it's just what you're like supposed to be doing, I think a little bit. Okay. Or also, you know, just having that, it's the image. I feel like almost more so like a lot of it is, you know, it's just sort of like, this is what, you know, I see other people doing, so therefore that's what I should be doing. You know, you see whatever artist you idolize who was, you know, just recently on the come up, and like you see them doing all these shows and stuff like that, and you're just like, well, that's what I got to do. I got to reach the fans. I got to, you know, or out there organically. And I think some of it also might become, you know, after they release their music out to the internet, and then it's not like just magically picked up or going viral off that. It's like, well, how do I get fans? Well, you do it the old school sort of grassroots, one fan at a time kind of connect live. That seems to be the next thing. Well, how do I go play live? And in comes pay to play. And I think it's just, I hate to say, but I think the artists are either not educated, dare I say dumb. I think there's a lot of dumb people out there. It's just the way it goes. True. That's life. Or lazy. I think it's easy to be like, okay, well, I just like pay this money. It'll go out of my account. I'm going to forget that I had to pay and how hard I had to work to make every dollar that went into this. Right. And then the pressure of selling these tickets or whatever that, you know, the scheme is for that, where, you know, selling 50 tickets maybe in your mind, you're like, well, I got my family, I got my friends, this and that. Yeah. But when push comes to shove, you see who shows up to your show. You see when it's on a Wednesday night at some random place in the middle of Bridgeport or wherever it might be, who's really going to come through, and you are stuck with the rest of that money if they don't show up. Absolutely. And that causes all kinds of problems. You see these artists all the time on like their stories on Instagram and stuff, yelling at their fans and who's real, who hasn't come through. I'm about to quit this music thing. Like,
that's the best way to keep fans is to rant at them.
You gotta stop doing that. Like, there's a right and a wrong way, and I know it's frustrating, and the internet is dangerous for a lot of people. But if you want to do a show, do a show. You have so much information available to you. Like, freaking Google it. And there's a lot of misinformation out there too.
Right.
But there's simple grassroots ways. You want to do a show, you have a venue you want to do it at, call the venue.
Set it up.
Have a normal email conversation or phone conversation and say, I want to do a show. How do you envision it running? How long? How many people do you think you can bring to the show? What is the investment going to be? Do you need lighting? Do you need sound? Really go through that. And that information's out there.
Also, that's the other thing too. If you go to a venue, don't just randomly email a venue and be like, can I has show? Because you're probably not going to hear back, or you're probably going to get a really like just dry, jaded answer back for them. Like, act like you're applying for a job. Come with something to offer, because that ultimately is going to be the venue's turnaround. They're going to be like, well, what can you bring to the venue? Be like, look, I have this other artist in town, who has somewhat of a local following. We're thinking of setting it up this way, blah, blah, blah. Come with some sort of plan. Maybe even throw out a handful of dates. Be like, we're thinking maybe one of these days, because you're so much more likely to get a response back that starts the conversation of narrowing in details that's going to result in you, A, getting a response, and B, actually setting something up.
Right.
Versus just throwing out this copy and paste email of being like, I want show.
Like, you have to do your homework. You have to show you're serious. And there's a million yous. Whatever it is that you do, there's a lot of other people that do what you do. And the faster you accept that reality and then think, how can I differentiate myself? Maybe the professionalism is going to do it for the most part. That's just the first stepping stone. It's never who's the most talented. We always joke about that. It's who's going to show up on time, who's going to send an email like that and be organized. And you have to think too, the venue owner's like, why should they give a like, really? Why should they care? Because it's like a job. I mean, we have tons of people that at Stanford Recording Studio, they will apply almost daily, begging to work, and not even for pay, for free. Because there are a million people that essentially want to be Aaron, like want this job, and there just aren't enough jobs to support the demand of the people that want it.
Sure.
And the people that have now had an education with it and are coming out in the world, and studios don't really exist the same way anymore. It's just a different climate for a number of reasons. That's a separate talk for a separate day.
Yes.
But when you come to us and you say, I think this would be a great opportunity for me, we laugh and delete your email because we don't care, because that has nothing to do with my life, your life, or the business.
No.
You're not adding value here. So stop thinking like that. That is the biggest problem. You have to think, what are you going to do for them? Why should they answer? Where are you adding value? And the same thing applies to these venues. The venue owner, the manager, whoever is answering that email, what are you doing to help them? What are they in business for? To make money, good promotion, to expand their network, whatever. Are they new? Are they old? How long have they been in business? What are the kinds of shows they typically put on, and what kind of way do they do them? What days, what times? Figure that out first, and then show that you've done your homework. That's respectful to do that. Don't waste their time with the back and forth. Provide all the information Aaron shared. Send them an electronic press kit so they know what they're dealing with. Don't send them links. They're not going to hunt through the internet. They don't care. No one has the time to do that. Make it easy for them so it's all in one place. And then you can say, I have this many people that I can bring out on any given day. This artist has this many people. We're going to come together. We're going to sell this many tickets. I'm interested in discussing a split of X or Y and whatever it may be. And if you don't know how to curate an email like that professionally, you need to find someone who can. There's a lot of people available. EMG does that. That's literally one of the biggest services that we offer, is that kind of representation, where if you have these ideas, or maybe you don't have these ideas, but you know that you should, you join a team like that can help you figure that out. You find someone in your life that can write a good business email, or you educate yourself. Those are your options. But sending out like the black hole of the internet, I want a show, like, is not helpful information. I deserve this show. I've been doing this for years. No one cares. I don't care that you've been doing it for years. That has no bearing on my life. And you have to think about those types of things. And in the same way with the pay to play, if you don't want to do that, you should be paid for your time and your talents. You are bringing the entertainment. So for you spending that kind of money with that kind of stress to get the chance to perform for 3.5 minutes, like, that's insanity. That is so backwards. But if you guys keep doing it, that is just going to keep happening. It's never ever going to end. So it's up to the people to stop feeding the beast, so to speak, and making it better. And if you want to be lazy and want to do it that way and you're not going to do it right, then you just don't get to complain on the other end. That's what I think. Exactly. Don't complain that what happened this and that. You're not doing it the right way. You're doing it the lazy way, and you choose to stay uneducated. So stay dumb and get out of our way. That's what I think. Get out of the way for the people who are serious about this. It's crazy. It's like Darwinism's finest. Weed out the weak of the music industry. Ain't nobody got time for that. Those are my thoughts.
Yes.